104.1. All right, things are weird now in America. I'd say weird slash bad. Well, the president's out of the country right now. He's hanging out in Japan, playing golf, I guess, discussing trade. But the Democrats are kind of noodling around with further investigations and subpoenas and trying to get financial documents, and Trump is saying no to everything. And while daily life goes on as usual, and we all just, do the same shit with our phones and TVs and everything, but what's going on with government is kind of unprecedented, and just weird. And it's, you're hearing something of that? Okay. Well, it's, and for a lot of people, it's disquieting, I believe. It doesn't feel like the America we're used to, where we can just ignore politics. And we've been saying stuff like this for, since before Trump was elected, but now it seems particularly bizarre. Lance.
I never thought we should ignore politics.
You did before 9/11.
Yeah. I was about to say more, but then you interrupted me to tell me what I think.
Yeah, but it's accurate.
Okay, so here's the deal. When it was Bush versus Clinton, I didn't have much of an opinion, George Bush Sr. versus Clinton. I thought things were important after 9/11. Then when Obama took over, I knew two things. I knew we would lose the Iraq War, and I knew that Iran would get a nuclear bomb. Those were the two fears that I had, and he justified both of those fears. And I thought, well, okay, politics is now very, very serious, because we can have a president that will make sure we lose a war, and we can have a president that will make sure our worst enemy in the world has a nuclear bomb. And so politics became deadly serious. Now, even though we have a president that loves America and would not deliberately harm our country, the Democrats are more concerned about getting rid of Trump than they are about doing anything else. I'm not aware of the Democrats doing anything in particular other than try to get Trump impeached for reasons that are clear only to them. That's a polite way of saying there is no reason, just so that they can gain power. I can't think of anything else. So that's why politics is all of a sudden very important, because the Democrats, having been thwarted in their attempt to get Iran a nuclear bomb, and having been thwarted in their attempt to lose the Iraq War, Trump came in and crushed ISIS and saved that country. Now what they've decided to do is bring in as many millions of people over the southern border as they can, so that they can gain power that way.
Just to say everything bad about the Democrats.
So that they can gain power by giving the vote to illegals or the children of illegals.
All right, so should we go to war against her? It looks like we might be building up to a war with Iran. Do you want to?
If it's a choice between Iran getting a nuclear bomb or war, I favor war. Absolutely. And
I thought you liked Trump because he kept us out.
Can you turn your chest towards the wall? Good. No, that's never been my opinion. I've always thought that war, if necessary, was something that I could support. And to me, there's nothing more necessary than preventing Iran from getting a nuclear bomb. So I would be fine with that if he felt he had to bomb Iran for doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, early in the show.
And what's interesting to me is that you just said, I like Trump because he kept us out of war. No, I never said that before. That's why Democrats like Trump if they like him at all. That's one thing they have to say is we haven't been in a war, an unjustified war since Trump took office, but it's of no concern to me.
Well, do you really think we need to move 100,000 troops over there and do a war with a gazillion boots on the ground? I thought early in the show, I kind of agreed with you that if there was a nice way to bomb Iran and shut down their nuclear, if they were getting close to having a nuclear bomb, that didn't seem too unreasonable. But now it looks like it would be a full-on war with all sorts of troops, right?
It depends on how badly we bomb them. I mean, if we want to, we can have repetitive strikes for months until every single building in Iran is knocked down. We could do that if we want to. So, but exactly how the Joint Chiefs of Staff want to conduct the war is not my I don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, Democrats say that the Trump, and I don't want to talk about this too long because you noticed we're not getting a lot of comments about our show.
This is a separate issue.
Yeah, but still, we want to move on from the shit we talk about all the time, I feel like, and talk about some new shit, so maybe we get comments.
Well, frankly, I don't care if we're getting comments or not. My concern is somehow are we being prevented from getting comments?
No, that, I think, I've been guilty of it too on Twitter for a while. I thought I was maybe shadow banned, but now I think, that stuff hardly ever happens. And it's like old people when they start losing it, they're in a nursing home and they think people are stealing their shit. And really, it's not that at all. They're just like, they're grasping at straws. And that's what I think about when people say shadow banned or any of that shit. I just think that, maybe people just are used to our show and they don't have anything to say.
Well, that's possible too. I mean, the only reason I'm saying this is that we've gone from, about 5 or 6 comments every week to 0. And then all of a sudden we started to get comments in Portuguese.
It's apparently...
like dozens.
Our director says that I look like a Portuguese, rock star? Or reggae star. So thank you, Portugal, for thinking I look like a... Kike! Thank you, Kike fans.
That sign you just made with your thumb in Portugal means that you want to stick your thumb up their ass.
Well,
so you want to do a little research before you
all right, you
shout out to our fans, okay?
All right. I'm sorry, Portugal. I don't want to stick my thumb up your butts unless you want that, and then.
Can you do a little reggae?
No,
Sing a little reggae?
I can't do reggae.
Yeah. All right.
In fact, when I was bouncing bars, I'm sorry, Portugal, but I found reggae fans to be some of the more harder to manage customers.
Do you want me to translate?
No,
you don't speak Portuguese.
no. Punks, actually, people at punk shows, when we had the meat puppets, were surprised, were really courteous.
Really?
Yeah. But reggae fans were a little bit they distrusted authority, even if authority was just, it wasn't doing anything particularly. Anyway.
Speaking of that, do you think weed, how has marijuana affected society, particularly here in Los Angeles?
All right, so when I was a kid, I would occasionally try to get stoned, and it just never worked. And maybe it has to do with me, or maybe it's because the weed we had back in the 70s was just pure crap. pot today is, what, 40 times more powerful than the pot of our era? I mean, pot is an actual drug now, as opposed to the bullshit that it was in the 70s. And so, I'm from Colorado, and I go back every once in a while, and Colorado loves legalized weed for the tax revenue. They've made many tens of millions of bucks. But they also have DUI laws for driving while stoned, because it will, if you're stoned on modern pot, you shouldn't be driving. But I don't know the statistics for, the number of people injured in pot-related accidents.
They just legalized mushrooms as well in Colorado.
Really?
Yeah. Psychedelic
Well,
mushrooms.
you shouldn't be driving on mushrooms either. Though, if you want to do a psychedelic drug, I gotta
Turn your chest towards the thing.
Okay. I gotta say, don't take LSD, because LSD will F you up for 14, 16, 20 hours. It lasts a long time. And after about the first 2 hours, you're sick of it, but you can't adequately even be sick of it because you're so fucked up that you're miserable. So no LSD. If you're gonna take a psychedelic, take mushrooms, which only last 4 to 6 hours. Which means, and don't drive while you're on frickin' mushrooms or pot.
All right.
Do you
So,
understand on marijuana then?
I think it ruins a lot of people's lives. I think it's kind of sad that we got to the point where we legalized it and kind of had to legalize it because everyone was going to jail for taking it. And it was kind of, that didn't seem to be the best solution. But on the other hand, I've seen marijuana destroy people's lives almost as much as alcohol. So I don't believe it's benign at all. It's really very, very dangerous. And I wish people didn't do that. I wish they could get high on drawing figures or music or something.
Our director and I were talking, and the gym that we used to go to just shut down. It's part of a chain, and the chain just shut down this branch of the gym. And our director suggests that maybe it's because fewer people were attending the gym because they're staying home and getting stoned. And I don't think that's the deal, but he also wondered, he or she wondered, if
You can put your arms down.
Okay, if pot makes people less rapey, that I don't think stoners try as hard to get laid as, well, for instance, I tried. I wasn't rapey ever, but I certainly was desperate to get a girlfriend, and I'd be out every weekend in my early 20s, either working in a bar or hanging out in a bar trying to meet a girl. And stoners, they do a lot of staying home and being baked. And there are too many variables in this, but I kind of think that I don't think that there being more, that legalizing pot reduces the instances of sexual assault. I don't feel like stoners are the rapey ones. On the other hand, maybe if they weren't stoned all the time, they would. What do you think, Lance?
Marijuana and rape.
Reducing rape, because everybody's staying home and being stoned instead of going out and being sexual predators.
No, I don't think that's possible. I mean, I think that if you're a criminal, marijuana consumption is usually among young people, and young people full of aggression are not going to be pacified that much. But they're going to be a lot less trouble than somebody that's drunk on alcohol, who will turn violent real easy. So, But in general, my problem with marijuana is that it destroys your ambition. They've proven this, actually. The chemical that you need in your brain to get you to get off the couch is wiped out by marijuana. So if there's something you need to accomplish, it'll be a lot harder after you've become addicted to marijuana. And another thing it hurts is your memory. There's no doubt about that. Your memory a lot of these things can be reversed, though, if you give up marijuana.
So, the robots, there's a new Terminator coming out, and I think when the robots take over, they won't just kill us. I mean, instead, maybe they'll make pot even more powerful, so all humans will just be stoned and will just stay on their couches all the time. Or I had an idea. I'm working on, a book set in the near future that has a lot of dumb movies in it. One of the characters is a quasi movie star, and I'm inventing some of the movies that he's in. And one of them is just called Sex Zombies, and it's like Terminator, except in the future, the robots that have taken over by releasing a virus that just makes almost every human on Earth just super horny. So instead of like defiling the planet with human-type activities, everybody's just going around just banging each other.
That was the sex ray that was released in Flesh Gordon in the 1970s.
So another great movie with the same great idea.
So, are you done?
Just shows you're a professional writer, Rick.
Thank you.
But, go ahead,
Oh, no, I was gonna change subjects.
please.
Okay, there's a new book out by one of Lance's favorite spokesperson, Mark Levin, called The Unfreedom of the
A
Press.
conservative writer and commentator.
Now, are you familiar with Thomas Paine? And you can comment if you think that the media today, the mainstream media, is a reflection of Thomas Paine. And does the mainstream media ever talk about liberty? Do they ever talk about property rights? Do they ever talk about, freedom? And just give me your opinion on if there is actually freedom of the press, or if CNN, MSNBC, Fox are all just really, really biased toward their political party.
All right, well,
Let's let Lance start.
okay.
All right, I just want to say, by the way, that the shots you're getting of, what is it for for anemia? You're looking pink. I have to change.
Nice.
I have to actually get rid of some of the white in my drawing because you're pinking up.
Nice. I've had 2 shots so far. They shoot me full of iron so I can make blood cells, because I only had half the hemoglobin of a normal man.
Yeah. All right.
And
So
I noticed, my boy parts seem to be plumper. Less shriveled.
we listen. We went over this last week. I don't care if we go over it every week because it's such a riveting story.
Yeah,
but
the doctor didn't want to hear it. He goes, well, have you noticed any changes? Does your brain work any better? And I go, I haven't noticed that. I just noticed that, my thing's less shriveled. And he didn't know what to say to that.
Well, he should have just congratulated you and said, can I check that out? I mean,
Yeah.
but that might get his license revoked. So, as far as the situation with the press, my man Trump said something very interesting this week. He did a press conference, and they said some question about how he's regarded by the American people. And he said that he thinks that if it wasn't for the press, he'd have a 75% approval rating. And I agree. They've done a very unbiased study where they just said, look, you are a journalist, which is your party affiliation. Over 90% are Democrats. And they've also done a study, and it turns out that 90%, over 90% of all reports about Trump are negative. Now, you could say, well, he deserves it. He's 90% bad. But I don't see any evidence. I'm living in the same country you are, and with an economy doing this well.
Well, except the stock market's been flat for the last year.
The economy is at record high.
Well,
Rick.
some parts of the economy.
I mean the stock market is, this is the highest the stock market's ever been, Rick.
Yeah, but if the stock market is often the highest it's ever been.
Okay.
Because the stock market in general trends upward.
Okay, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, when Trump got elected, what the New York Times was reporting was that there would be a major depression. And it also said there was a good chance that he was going to cause nuclear war. I remember reading these things, that they predicted war and depression. And neither of those things have happened. In fact, in terms of war, we're doing better than we were under Obama, and the economy is doing better than it was under Obama.
And by some measures, and other measures, it's doing about the same.
No, actually, wages, not only is employment higher, but real wages are higher. So in other words, people are not only getting employed more,
But
they're actually getting paid more. I have to talk a little louder because Rick likes to interrupt me right when I'm going to say something important that might actually influence people. So I'll say it again.
Real wages have gone up about 3%.
9%, Rick. 9% for the blue collar, for African Americans. It's 9%, and wages are higher for people that are in the blue collar segment of our society than they were ever in the past 25 years.
Okay.
So wages are going up. We've had real growth for the economy. Employment's the best it's been in history for women, Hispanics, and blacks, and the best it's been in 60 years for everybody else.
So do you hear that on CNN?
And wait a minute, we crushed ISIS. ISIS is
No,
gone.
this isn't an excuse for you to just...
No, actually, Rick, this is a very important moment because the press does not tell you these things. When Mark Levin wrote a book saying unfreedom of the press, what he meant was when 90% of the press is Democrats, then they will lie to you and not report all the good things that are happening in the American economy and the fact that we just won a war. Now, if they don't say that, then they're not being fair. Guys, I have to raise my voice a little bit because if I don't, he'll interrupt me as soon as I try to make a point.
All right. So I've said this a bunch on the show, and I'll say it again. There are more liberals in the press than conservatives. However, there is a huge dedicated conservative press. And the problem in general on the liberal side and the conservative side of news media is the money that gets involved. That TV news didn't used to be profit-driven until the coming of CNN. TV news used to be something that they had to do in return for having the airwaves. It was the way TV was set up.
Isn't this country founded on profit? Are you against people making a profit?
No, but it has effects on the media.
Oh.
And, Fox, I assume, is super profitable. I assume MSNBC and CNN are profitable. And money gets all tangled up in how they do their stuff, and ratings, money and ratings.
So you're saying that Fox doesn't report the news accurately either?
Well, each,
Because the
Well, I
press
mean-
is not about, freedom of speech is not about profit, it's about just reporting what the government is doing.
all right, well,
Whether
TV
they're right or wrong.
news used to be more of a public service. We're gonna find the news, we're gonna report the news, and, you know, we're not gonna worry that much about ratings, because it's just the frickin' news.
You
TV
can put
news.
your arms down.
So
Okay.
when
TV
Trump
news,
says-
hold on, TV news used to be 15 minutes a night in the 50s, and then it expanded to half an hour. And then, in the 70s, people figured out that you could put on morning chatty light news shows like Good Morning America, and those became profit leaders. And then CNN came along and was successful, and now almost all TV news is profit driven, and which means that there's more of an effort to appeal to your demographic, whatever your demographic is.
So would you say Don Lemon is more an opinion guy, or is he an actual reporter, a legitimate reporter?
Well, he's, you know, I don't spend that much time watching him, but it looks like he does both. I mean, he has, you know, he has those stupid panels on where they have, you know, 3 pundits, you know, either one liberal, 2 conservative, or vice versa, and then they just all hash it out. And that's not news, that's just people talking about shit. He does a lot of happy talk, but, you know, they do they like to do, which I think this is a great technique, but not great for news. But the happy talk between the anchor who's signing off and then the anchor who's taking over. And he does a lot of that shit with Chris Cuomo, and they like bust their balls a little bit, and it's all super fun and friendly, but that's not reporting. And Lance thinks that, I think that Lance thinks it's more conspiratorial, and I think it's more profit driven.
Rick, which network is the most profitable?
I don't know.
Good. That would explain why you're so badly informed. Fox is about 3 times more profitable. CNN gets about 1/5 of the viewers of Fox. MSNBC is hardly on the chart. Actually, CNN is so low right now that I think the Cooking Channel has more viewers.
No, I think none of that sounds right.
You want to look it up?
Yeah, let's.
All right.
'Cause I could use a break. All right, 104.2. All right, so we looked up the ratings of the various news channels. And basically, CNN and MSNBC have 30%, each have 30% fewer viewers than Fox. However, there are 2 left-leaning news channels and only 1 Fox News, right-leaning channel. So if you add up 70% and 70%, the 2 liberal channels combined have 40% more viewers than Fox, which makes sense that the 2 not Fox channels split their viewers, and Fox collects all their right-leaning viewers. Lance.
Okay.
But it isn't 5-1 Fox to MSNBC.
Well, in April of 2019, which is the most recent time that we have, CNN dropped their viewership 26% compared to the same time a year ago. CNN's total audience was 767,000 viewers.
Per night, on average?
I don't know what night it is. In prime time, it just says.
Okay.
And then, so 767. Fox News is 2,395,000.
All right, let me see.
And MSNBC is 1,660,000. So if you combine MSNBC and CNN, that's this one and this one.
They exactly equal Fox.
They exactly equal Fox. Okay.
Yeah, which makes sense, because it's a divided country, so you have, yeah, so.
Yeah, but my original point was that Fox far outstripped CNN. And I was right about that.
Yeah,
767,000.
but you started saying crazy ratios, like
No, no.
5 to 1.
Well, no, but in the shows it is 5 to 1. In a lot of in most of the shows, yeah. And look, it's 767,000 for CNN compared to 2.395 million. So it's almost triple. Wait, what is 767?
That's triple, but
It's roughly triple, but that's my point. When they started 5-10 years ago, they were equal.
okay, so given that, like, so Fox? You said that Fox is the most profitable channel, news channel.
Well, look, I don't know how much the advertisers are paying
Right.
for advertising commercials on Fox. I'm saying that it used to be that they were neck and neck, Fox and CNN. And MSNBC was this small thing that came out of nowhere. Now, Fox has 3 times the viewers that CNN does. And I think the reason is because for 2 years now, CNN was telling us that Trump colluded with Russia, and it turns out, no, the Mueller report has found no evidence of that. So the reasonable Democrats and neutral people are beginning to say, why the fuck are we listening to these people that are lying to us and deceiving us?
No.
In fact,
Because the Mueller
CNN
report doesn't say that shit.
Then why didn't the Mueller report recommend indictments for working with Russia against the interests of the U.S.?
Because I don't want to have it, because we have this every time, but fine. Because the Mueller report wanted Congress to do it. Mueller wanted Congress.
But the Mueller report had no problem recommending indictments for
non-presidents.
Yeah, but it could recommend an indictment for the president just as easily.
No.
Rick, the Mueller report says that there was no collusion with Russia.
The Mueller
But you're
report
so badly brainwashed, you can't accept
no, we've had this argument, I don't want to have this fucking argument again. No, the Mueller report said there was no direct, collusion is not a specifically defined term. B, the Mueller report said that there was no direct collusion between Trump and Russian government officials. It was a narrow thing. 3, Mueller wants Congress to do the ruling on that shit. I'm not fucking brainwashed.
You're brainwashed, Rick. Because for 2 years, CNN told you. And Twitter and
But I
MSNBC.
barely watch CNN.
Yeah,
I only watch, hold on. I only watch CNN when there's commercials on MSNBC or when I'm not watching CNBC or ABC.
Rick.
I don't watch that much CNN can't barely brainwash me because I don't watch fucking CNN.
Okay, can I talk now?
But
Okay.
no, because a lie repeated enough becomes the truth. And you keep saying that Mueller found no collusion. That's just not true. That's not the fucking thing. But you guys, it's your brainwashy talky point.
Okay, Rick, can I talk now?
Go ahead.
All right. You said that you watch ABC, CBS, no, not ABC. You said NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN. You said those 4 entities, right?
I said CNN a little bit, MSNBC, sometimes Fox, but only for very short periods of time because it pisses me off. CNBC.
People are
ABC.
falling asleep.
Fine.
Most of the time you listen to left-wing news, right, Rick?
Well, then I go to, I read the LA Times. Does that count
That's
as
left-wing, yes.
Why? It's the fucking...
They endorsed Hillary Clinton and Obama.
Yeah, but you know what? Fucking 99% of newspapers endorsed Hillary Clinton and Obama.
You're proving my point.
What?
You're proving my point.
Yeah, but 99, it's not that 99% of newspapers are liberal. Plenty of conservative newspapers couldn't bring themselves to endorse Trump because Trump is a piece of crap. It was crazy. The ratio of newspapers endorsing Hillary versus Trump was about 100 to 1.
This proves my point, Rick.
It doesn't. It says that Trump was obviously shitty.
You're making my argument, Rick.
I'm not. I'm saying because a gazillion newspapers, probably more so than TV.
What about Romney and McCain? Didn't those exact same ratios go?
No, not at all.
But it was very similar.
No.
There was hardly okay. The LA Times, the New York Times, the Washington Post, they supported Obama and Clinton. They supported Obama twice. They supported Bill Clinton. They do not choose Republicans, Rick.
But I'm not talking.
My argument was that 90% of journalists are Democrats, and now you're telling me, gosh, almost 100 to 1 newspapers supported the Democrat over Trump.
Well,
you are proving my point,
not
Rick.
Exactly, because
exactly.
if you look at because it's a big country with a lot of little newspapers that lean every which way politically. But it was 700.
Do that. It's 90% Democrat, Rick. 90%. Okay, 90% of the coverage. All right. Listen, I need to make a
700.
point.
Hold on, just
Wait.
700 newspapers endorsed Hillary Clinton versus roughly 8 or 10 newspapers endorsed Trump.
Well, that proved my point, Rick.
But it also indicates that Trump was obviously a guy you wouldn't want to have as president.
Okay, but that's only if you're a Democrat, because half the country wanted Trump. Half of the United States population wanted Trump. 90% of the newspapers wanted Clinton.
We should look up the statistics because
I think we both know what the numbers are.
No, because you presented an objective test.
Yes.
So let's look up. I want a break, and I want to see what was the ratio of Romney versus Obama.
That'd be fine. But look, even if I'm going to say in advance, because this is not who's right and who's wrong, I'll just say, look, I would guess that probably more papers supported Romney and McCain than supported Trump. But at the same time, I'm going to say the vast majority of media outlets, other than Fox, would have supported the Democrat candidate.
So we don't need to break because we're basically whatever we find out is going to roughly agree with that.
Okay, and what I'm saying is, because you generally get your information from these sources, and for 2 years, these sources have been telling you that Trump colluded with Russia.
Yeah, but I've never.
No matter what the Mueller report says, you still believe that.
Yeah, but you guys are presenting.
Wait, I'm not finished. I had more to say. Okay. The Mueller report is actually public now.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give you a little homework. You don't have to take it, because I know you're a busy man. I want you to find somewhere in the Mueller report where it says Trump colluded with Russia.
It doesn't say that specifically.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, but wait, let's set it out, because the Mueller limited his purview. And what it does say is it specifically says, I believe it says, whom Trump didn't collude with. And that is like the Russian government figures.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a small, and I never said, this whole show, this is episode 104. I've never said that Trump colluded with the Russian government. But anyway.
Rick, do you think that Mueller, having 2 years and 1 million documents over 1 million documents were supplied to him from the White House. He had dozens of investigators, dozens of lawyers, $35 million spent. Do you think, don't interrupt me, that Mueller found that there was no collusion between Trump and the Russian government? However, he did find collusion between Trump and Russian business people, but don't answer, but he left that out. He left that out of the report. He did. Wait, Rick, what you're trying to get me to believe is that Mueller found this collusion. It wasn't with Russian government officials. Don't interrupt me. It was with people that were Russian, bankers, important people, but he left that out. He left that out of the report, and that's why it's not in the report. Actually, he found it. He found that Trump colluded with Russians, but he said government. He said Russian government because he didn't find any actual government officials. And that's why he said government. But he really did collude with Russians, right, Rick? And he found that.
I'm kind of saying that.
Yeah,
And
okay.
so let's-
Can you show me the Russians
I
that
think
Mueller
I can, because
colluded
we looked
with?
at, a couple weeks ago, we looked at that.
Okay, all right. Turn that
So
off.
let's break, because
Turn
it's
it
just
off.
looking at a computer.
The force is very strong with this one, and it will take much experience with the dark side to bring him over.
Lance, could you just talk about the picture real quick? Turn it so we can see it.
Oh,
That's beautiful. It looks like he's throwing a spear.
when I first did it, I thought that the straighter arm was too wide, but it turns out his arm is foreshortened and it's actually the correct size compared to the smaller one.
Before the show, we're gonna do art corner while right, Rick is, you were talking about a painting that was, it was a Picasso that was found or something like that?
I don't know anything about it. What are you talking about?
You were talking earlier about something with Rick about a painting that
Oh,
was.
there was a Da Vinci found
Yes, can you talk
a
about that?
year ago. And everybody thought it was an original Da Vinci. I think it sold for $500 million because people thought it was an original Da Vinci. But it was so badly damaged and there was so much repainting that if they had just asked an artist, an expert artist, I would be able to tell them, or any very qualified artist could have told them that there's no way to tell whether that was a Da Vinci or not because it's riddled with mistakes. So what they ended up having there was something that was so beaten up and so repainted and had so many errors in it that it doesn't seem likely it was a Da Vinci. I mean, I found mistakes that I wouldn't put in my own work, but they still sold it for $500 million. They think it ended up in a wealthy Arab oil person, but it's now disappeared. So $500 million worth of art just gone. Nobody knows where it is now.
How can somebody tell if they, sometimes they go into they buy a house and they go to the basement, they find art. What is the telltale sign that you have something that could be worth a lot of money?
Well, the first
Repeat
point.
the question.
The director was asking, how can you tell if something's really good? If he finds some old painting in an attic, how can you tell if it's any good? And what I would say is this: if the costume looks old, so the first thing you want to know is this a print or is this original oil paint? If you find that it's real oil paint, you can tell what real oil paint is just by looking at it. It's not printed. So if it's real oil paint, then you look at the clothing. If the clothing are from 100 years ago, 200 years ago, then you have got definitely something old. Then the next question would be, what is the quality of the work? So, does it look like the anatomy look natural? Does the head look like a real head? Or does it have a peculiar quality to it? Because there's junk that was done 100 years ago. So you have to look and see, is everything in proportion? Do the hands look natural? The faces look natural? The expressions on the faces? And if all those things check out, then it would be time to take it to an auction house and have it appraised. That's my advice.
I got add my 2 cents. If you want to know if you've got something that's worth something or not, then do your homework on eBay and see what stuff is actually worth, what it looks like. Also, watch Antiques Roadshow, where you get to see experts looking at individual pieces of stuff and explaining why or why not it's worth something. But eBay has tens of thousands of pieces of art of all kinds. And the market determines what it's worth. People bid on it. Also go to Etsy and search for the kind of stuff that you're interested in. And also there are dozens of other online auction houses where you can go and you can look at price histories and see thousands of items and what they look like and what people ended up paying for them. So do your homework. So all right, so I found this one thing, which pretty much, this is from an AP fact check, the Associated Press, from May 1st, which is, 3.5 weeks ago. And it's a fact check on Trump's tweet, "No collusion, no obstruction." And then AP says the facts are: allegations of collusion were not proven false in the Mueller investigation, nor was the issue of collusion addressed in the report. The Mueller report said the investigation did not find a criminal conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia, saying it had not collected sufficient evidence to establish or sustain criminal charges. However, the report noted that some Trump campaign officials had declined to testify under the Fifth Amendment or had provided false or incomplete testimony, making it difficult to get a complete picture of what had happened during the 2016 campaign. The special counsel wrote that he cannot rule out the possibility that unavailable information could have cast a different light on the investigation's findings. One more paragraph. The report also makes clear the investigation did not assess whether collusion occurred because collusion is not a legal term. The investigation found multiple contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia, and the report said it established that the Russian government perceived it would benefit from a Trump presidency and worked to secure that outcome, and that the campaign expected it would benefit electorally from information stolen and released through Russian efforts, which is pretty much what you were accusing me of believing.
Rick, let's read that again. Now I'm going to read it.
Okay.
So let's discuss this,
You
okay?
guys scroll up.
All right. All right. Now, this is frightening. This is really frightening to me. Because Rick is so desperate that he will grab at straws. And if he reads anything that confirms his biases, no matter how ridiculous, he thinks he's answered the question. He thinks he's right. Okay. So, here it is. The evidence, okay, let's see. The facts. The Mueller report.
We'll say what give a little summary right there. Allegations of collusion were not proven false in the Mueller investigation.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Allegations of collusion were not proven false. Rick's got me there because the Mueller report said the investigation did not find a criminal conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia, saying it had not collected sufficient evidence to establish or sustain criminal charges. Now, Rick, what does that mean to you? I know you're not insane.
Yeah. But I mean, there were hundreds, if not
No,
thousands.
no, what did that say?
They didn't have enough information to rule on the issue.
Did not find a criminal conspiracy between Trump and Russia,
And then read the rest of that little,
saying it had not collected sufficient
Sufficient evidence.
evidence to establish or sustain criminal charges.
right, and then you go to the next,
So-
wait, but then you go to the next paragraph.
Oh, the next paragraph. Some of Trump campaign officials had declined to testify. So what?
Or provided false or incomplete testimony,
No,
making
no,
it difficult
no,
to get a complete picture of what happened
Rick,
during the
Rick,
campaign.
Rick, who were the campaign officials?
People who worked on Trump's
It was
campaign.
Michael Cohen. Only Michael Cohen and.
No,
No? Who were they? Who were they?
I don't know, but how do
Who-
you
who
know it's
were
only
they?
Michael Cohen? If it was only
Because
Michael,
he's the only one that went to jail. Except for-
Manafort's in jail.
Yeah, no, Manafort is in jail for tax evasion.
But
Papadopoulos served 12 days in jail for getting a date wrong.
yeah, but you don't have to go to jail just because you testified to Mueller, just because you talked to Mueller.
If you testified to jail, if you testified to lying, Mueller indicted you. That's why Cohen went to jail. And he went to jail for making weird things with his business in New York.
Well,
And lying to Congress.
Well, no, now you're really twisting shit because
I'm not twisting
no, because
anything.
Trump had campaign officials. Some
Yes.
took the fifth, said I'm not
That's
going to
okay.
answer.
That's okay.
All right, they
But
didn't
that-
go to. You
but that
don't go to
doesn't-
jail for taking the fifth.
Yeah, but that doesn't constitute evidence, Rick.
But it
Comey's-
constitutes an absence of evidence.
Right, that's right. It's an absence of evidence, Rick.
But absence of evidence is not, according to the saying, is not evidence of absence.
Right, I have no evidence that you raped a dog, but that's not evidence.
But the deal is, like, I mean, all right, I read this shit. You
Lois
can.
Lerner for the IRS.
What's that?
Lois Lerner pleaded the fifth. Does that mean that she was guilty?
So Lois Lerner did use the
Oh,
IRS
let's
to
not-
arrest
You know what?
Obama's
Fuck that. I'm
opponents?
not going into that. Don't bring up
But
old
she
shit.
did. She said she pleaded the fifth. They all pleaded the fifth.
Right.
Okay.
So were they guilty of targeting Tea Party people? According to your reasoning, I'm just.
Well, no, I'm attacking Lance's
That's
reason.
what-
No, hold on
I-
a second. Hold on, fucking everybody. Lance is saying that only one campaign official talked to Mueller based on only one campaign official going to prison because of what he said to Mueller.
But Lois Lerner was the head of the IRS.
This is not, I don't want to fucking talk about that. I'm just addressing the one point that more than one campaign official talked to Mueller. You're,
3 people went to jail.
yeah, but you can
Papadopoulos-
talk to Mueller without going to jail. That's,
Wait. Papadopoulos put 12 days in jail.
yeah.
Manafort's in jail for tax evasion. Michael Cohen lied to Congress, and the General Flynn hasn't been sentenced yet. So that's it, Rick.
But the deal is, and I've been saying, collusion was not the issue that
Now
Mueller.
you're evading.
I'm not. I'm reading off straight out of the AP
No.
report.
Collusion was the purview of the
It's not
investigation.
the fucking.
This article is lying to you.
It's not.
Look,
It's
look,
the fucking.
Rick, this is an AP article that's trying to brainwash you. Collusion was part of the investigation. Collusion was part of the Mueller investigation.
Collusion
Rick.
isn't a fucking legal term. It's right there.
I know
and
it's not a legal term, but Mueller was investigating any contact between the Trump campaign and Russia.
You know, all right. You know what else isn't a legal term? Padiddle. That's where you see one tit. Padiddle. You can't legally prove somebody is guilty of padiddling because it's not a fucking legal term.
Rick.
You guys like to say that
Rick.
there was no collusion because they didn't prove collusion, but it's not. It's not what they were.
Unfortunately, Rick, unless you have some proof to me that Trump colluded with Russia in order to win the
You
election,
guys are just
then I
straight
don't
up full of shit.
then I don't believe you, Rick. I need proof. You're going on your brainwashing.
Well, all
You
right.
have no evidence. Even in what we just read, it said there was no evidence. No evidence.
It said there was insufficient evidence. but you were-
Insufficient evidence.
Fine,
That's
fine.
a legal term.
Fucking fine, but the deal is that the Mueller report did not prove that there was no collusion, because that's what Trump was tweeting.
Do you
It's,
have to
ex- I
prove
just,
the
ex-
negative?
what?
Do you have to prove a negative? Is that the way their system works?
I don't fucking know, because now I'm confused, but
Rick,
the deal
Rick,
is,
Rick, if
the Mueller report did not prove there was no collusion. It didn't, that wasn't its
Yeah,
job.
yeah, Rick, if it had proven it, he would have brought indictments.
You like to say that, but that's not the fucking
He,
deal.
that's the point of an investigation, is to bring indictments. If somebody investigates you for murder and then says, we have insufficient evidence that Rick murdered anyone, therefore we're not bringing indictments, then you didn't do it.
Murder is a legal term. Collusion, he didn't
No,
investigate collusion.
there are laws that a president could have broken, or a candidate could have broken with Russia. If he had found them, it would have been indictable.
Yeah, but you're talking specifically about, you like to say
If- if-
collusion.
Rick,
Trump
Rick,
says no collusion.
Rick, listen to me. Is it legal for an official to make a promise to a foreign government to do something for them in return for help? Something that would damage their own country. Is that legal?
I don't think so.
No, it's not. It's called corruption. And if Mueller had found that, he could have brought an indictment.
So we should look up corruption instead of collusion. Because
Okay.
is corruption a legal term?
Rick, I need to, yes it is. Now
So
let me.
let's look up
Okay,
corruption.
Rick,
'cause you
Rick,
guys
Rick,
like-
Rick, I need to explain something to you, okay? You're splitting, now just listen to me, okay?
You like to
No,
say,
no,
no,
no.
I'm not gonna fucking listen to you.
Wait, I need to
because
speak, okay? I'm gonna speak to the camera, okay? What Rick is trying to do is to split hairs on legal terms. I've been to court many times, and so has Rick.
Not many times, like.
Okay, listen to me,
And
Rick.
so what, we've never been to court on collusion.
Rick, just listen to me.
I sued a quiz show, that's why I fucking went
Can
to
I
court.
speak now? Can I speak now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We've both been to court. Now, one of the things that happens in court is they don't split hairs between collusion, corruption, or whatever. Conspiracy, collusion, or
How do
corruption.
you know that? We never went
Because-
to court on collusion.
Because
corruption.
it says conspiracy in this article, and it says that word in the Mueller report. Just listen to me, Rick. I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak.
There's no
Wait,
conspiracy
Rick,
in that.
it
No
did say,
conspiracy.
it's
It
used the
didn't
word
say
conspiracy. It did. I'll look it up. I'll
All right,
look it
show
up.
me the fucking word then.